Hey guys, I'm Mustached Jr. here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the movie Argylle. If you end up enjoying this full movie review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. I want to head you over to my petition to help out small YouTubers. So go there to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly, and forth to my Discord server you join. Collab, shell, do all that cool stuff for free. And chilling will be reminded at the end of the review. With all that out of the way, let us get into Argylle. So I've seen the trailers for this once or twice before jumping in, and then saw a reviewer pop up right before seeing the movie myself, so I haven't actually seen any other reviews of this movie myself, but I am here nonetheless to review it as objectively as conceivably possible. With all that out of the way, let's dive right in. So we jump into the movie as we're entering the dance floor, as this suave man gets a dance with this lady. Lo and behold, all manner of, once the dance is done, all guns start to come out as this gentleman is accused of being Argylle, and all guns again are pointed to him. However, his assistant named Kira comes in for the assist, and we see that they are somewhere in Greece. She gets injured in the process of their little kerfuffle in there, and he goes after the chase of the main woman that procured him into that spot in the first place. So him and his partner book up after catching on up with her. And once they cut off their radio comms with one another, we cut to a woman reading a book. It is perceived that she, Ellen, is the writer of these books, this series called, well, Argylle, obviously. A spy series, as it were. It seems in totality, she has 5 books in general, and she's super popular. Oh, how I wish the dream I've dreamed for Syndicate X is placed on her. And hey, she also doesn't have the trauma of J.K. Rowling, am I right? So, you know, she's doing alright. Well, for now anyway. So, she lives in Colorado, and she's doing this read off, and then she's doing a Q&A where she essentially says, like, the best way to go about writing is to do your research. Obviously, finding inspirations for something of this nature, you know, there's plenty of material to go around. Anyway, she heads home with her cat and begins to start writing, but starting to have a little bit of writer's block. She proceeds back into the scheme of the story that we see via, you know, transporting to the characters actually participating in Hong Kong. But again, she doesn't know quite how to expand upon our finale, as the mother says you can't just end with another cliffhanger, you gotta end this story. And as someone who has written a cliffhanger for my first book before, I always had that inclination, as it were, that I always wanted to write more than one book. I mean, it ended in failure, so here being a loser and nobody on YouTube. Anyway, so she says you gotta, do all that. So she's trying to make Ed. It's not doing it too well, so she decides she's gotta head on the train and visit her mom. And a man takes a seat next to her. He addresses, and this is in the trailer, that he is a real spy, as it were. And that's in a few moments that a bunch of people are going to attack them, and that's exactly what starts to happen. And what she seems to start to do here is start to blur together this guy that is saving her and the one from her book, indistinguishing between the two from throughout this little chain sequence where he's fighting off several baddies, as it were. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay. So after all of them are dead, we proceed with more of the fighting in the further halls as they make their way to the back of the plane where they parachute outward. And she even had noticed one of the guys chasing her was one of the people from the book Q&A, essentially. But we learn that the division leader is named Ritter, rather, of a group called the Division. So we see one of those cliches where the main bad guy kills one of his goons for being all bad at his job, I guess. But we learned that the spies, of course, have their hacker guy. So they try to meet up with him. So they head towards the last known location where they could get a hint to where he could possibly be, which is London. And as she proceeds to begin writing, we begin to see, while she's experimenting with him, the fake Argylle, I guess I'll call him for the sake of brevity, and the bad guy spies also getting in simultaneously. We have like 3 different perspectives of all of them getting in, as it were, on this hack success in finding said location. So they get to his location. It seems empty at first. They find the next clue, and the bad guys proceed to try to take her out, as well as him. They don't do so well as he fights his way out, and she's struggling because she's the little writer's like, oh god, I'm not, oh geez, all that kind of stuff going on. So we see that they head up towards the roof, where they see a boat and a platform that they could potentially land on. So he tosses the cat down first, and then they both proceed down after the fact and get on the boat. So as they make their way to this safe area, or at least for the time being, she overhears him wanting to kill her, whoever this her is. I'm assuming this is referring to someone else. It's guessing work here that he's referring to the bad main lady in the movie, but unfortunately our main character takes it as her. And that never really does come to pass on who he really was talking about, if I'm correct or not, by the way. Just gotta point that out. Whatever, though. Let's see. So she decides to sneak off on her own after, learning or overhearing this. So she calls over her mom, and her mom and dad visit sometime later. And we see that the dad is, dun dun dun, the leader of the division. Oh my god. So she's beginning to explain it, and he's getting the intel, and the spy, the main guy, our main spy, gets to them, and then the acts begin to jump. The father reveals his true intentions, and so does the mom. So spy shoots her first, and him after the fact, and they make their way. And she's freaking out, of course. So she gets told to take a little rest as they go on a car after being convinced to even go with him still. They end up in France. And they end up eating Alfie. Sort of their control network guy, I guess, is who they report to in a way, I suppose. And we discover that Argylle is this acronym, as it's even portrayed in the title, is indeed her real name, as in her middle name is R, and her last name is Guile, and her first name is whatever, something not too relevant, but nonetheless, she was the one that she's been actually, we learn later that she's actually been writing about herself this entire time. So these were more so memories rather than her telling the future, which is what they kind of imply earlier in the movie. So she was given visual checks by her parents to brainwash her into going along with this whole novelization thing so they could seep the info out of her that way and get rid of her when they were done. So she gets this passcode at this Arabian Peninsula area. So they have a little dance, him and her, and then she gets brought in alone. She shows off that she's turning into more and more of the spy at this point in the movie, as she's starting to remember who she is, even being asked if she is indeed the writer or the spy in this case. And her answer seems to imply that she's shifting over towards spy. So she's given info, and that freaks her out about some other truth in the matter of things. And we see that the mom returns with being still alive, having a bulletproof vest, and we learned that the hacker guy that was involved in this whole situation was killed by her. But all three of them, meaning main spy, guy spy, and the bomb spy, are all knocked out. And she's the first to get up, I think, among the three. But she plays it off fairly well. Once awakening, she says she will go in and get the intel from him about, because she's asked about Alfie's location, or whatever his name was. And she says that only he knew of that code, and she says that she will get it for him. So she shoots him close to the heart, but enough to keep him alive, I guess. And they end up breaking free once he breaks out, and she tries to send her code in, pretending as if she's searching for the guy that her trying to send it to. So when she fails to access it via that way, she runs out and is rejoined by him in the gun room. They grab a bunch of equipment, And once leaving, they throw a bunch of colorful smoke bombs in this fluorescent dance fight they perceive to have with one another, in the most literal sense of dance fighting. And once they're done in that little nice venue of color and dancing and shooting and all that, they skip the event. Meanwhile, as they get cornered into this room, as they are firing into it, a bunch of oil begins to leak out into the floor, meaning if they accidentally shoot something that isn't someone else directly, if they hit, a pipe or something, everything in the room will likely explode. So she remembers at this point that she used to ice skate, and yes, she does this. She ice skates on oil, which I'm not really sure is a thing you can do, but whatever, for the sake of being cool, it looks cool, I guess, so neat. So she takes out everyone in the room, and once they do so, they escape to the top of the boat, and begin to send over the files on this other computer access thingy that they have on top of the boat. But the mom returns for one last attempt, brainwashing her to attack Guy Spy. So they end up fighting each other for quite a while. The brainwashing only breaks away for a moment, and then she re-triggers it. And during their little fight, she's about to kill him, and then we see someone sneak up behind her, the mom, and take her out. And that also proceeds with her missing the kickdown for the kill on her buddy boo, as it were. Our two spies get on the boat after successfully sending their intel over. They kiss. We switch over our narrative to the cover people in the book, and she's reading it again, once again, like the author she's always has been meant to be. So the most unreliable narrator. However, the movie has a potential for a sequel stinger here, as our lead main spy, played by Henry Cavill, as it were, aka our previous Superman, as it were, stands up in her presence, looking slightly different with a yellow colored shirt, but asking if she has any questions for him, because usually she's, it's the Q&A, it's for her, but, she's all, flabbergasted. And that's the end of the movie, though. The end of Argylle. Yeah, I think this movie is quite a fun little, turn into spy activated mode type of movie, I guess. I can't say I remember that many movies where the spy already exists, but then something happens to them and then they're living the normal life. It's usually Spy Kids. It's they are spies, yes, but they're keeping it a secret. They know that they are spies, and they're keeping it a secret from the kids, and the kids find out. Here we actually have a a covert but not knowing she's a spy, essentially, for the sake of this. So, can't say I've seen that little output, at least in terms of the spy world, or at least I don't recall any stories like this to my memory. So, it had a little bit of originality, at least from my perspective. I could be wrong, again. Maybe I just haven't seen enough spy movies, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, the action was neat. Plenty of nice action set pieces where we see either main spy or takeover spy doing all these action set pieces, transitioning between the two very smoothly. So I'm assuming how they did that is have one actor hold position and then switch out to the other actor and then continue on the fighting scene, I guess. I'm actually not sure. Because of the train one sequence in particular fascinates me and how they would have pulled that off. Alright, because it keeps on switching between the two constantly. Maybe it's just, like, again, holding that position, making sure everything, because, like, even if it's, like, you have them, like, I don't know, in a position where they're, like, he's ready to stab, like, main actor guy, spy guy, and then they have to cut, and then they have to bring in the other guy, but he has to be in the same position as well as the guy that he's holding, so there's a little bit of complexity in the way I'm at least thinking about how they did it. So props, I guess. Again, I'm not really sure how they pulled it off. Yeah, it really plays off of her becoming a spy, so we have quite an acting performance to go through of this, woman who really stresses out that she's a writer. She feels super uncomfortable being placed in this position, to shifting all the way to badass super spy, which is quite the transition to make in a singular movie, by the way. So that was also quite impressive to see in terms of a performance. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Trying to think if there's any criticisms. Yeah, there's some cliches about, like, making sure, they don't kind of make sure that the people that they're shooting at are dead at times. I'm kind of thinking about the evil mother spy, as it were, because she does come back, and things of that kind of nature. But there is sort of this moving clock, I guess, moving them along to sort of help kind of break away that level of, like, they might not necessarily have the time, because we see constantly how they're being, like, with reinforcements on the way and all that good stuff. So they do cover that base to a degree, I suppose. Nonetheless, I think in terms of a score, I'm actually going to give this one a 8 out of 10. I think this one is pretty dang good. I'm trying to think, again, of any issues I have. I'm kind of struggling a little bit, but we see, like, at the end of it, how she's, like, once again in the reader's mindset, and we see all the other spies in the audience. So she's acknowledging them as she's looking around again. We get that little last little bit there with the main character, the book spy, as it were. And that was Argylle, and that was my review of it. So if you ended up enjoying this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. What do I do over my petition? Help out small YouTubers. Look at it there to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel. And fourth, to my Discord server, you can join and do all that shilling stuff for free. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.